Good afternoon. I don't get to say that very often because I am not home alone in the afternoon very much. Or when I do take the time to record, it's usually very early when nobody else is up. So, good afternoon. This is the third attempt I am making at recording this message. Trying not to cry, like the absolute best type of tears. First, I want to say this video in particular goes out to a friend who has made her place in our family, in our hearts. So, not. Is that you ever have a person where you can't imagine life without them, but you've had decades without them, but now you can't imagine what it would be like without them, without their support, without their love, without their input. I am so grateful, and I wanted to do a shout out to Abby. The other day, after I had a fever last week, I was like, when I checked early, I was 101.3, I believe it was. And I was just bouncing point numbers, but I was staying up in the fever range. I don't often have that high of a fever. So I was really bogged down for days. Day 4, that fever finally broke to a, what do we call it? The low grade fever. Got down to 99. And it was like my body knew you're going to be needed today. Because that's when Lorraine, my caregiver, my mother, she came down ill. I don't have a temperature reading on her through that, but I did feel her forehead. She was very warm. She had what we only found out a few years ago that we have abdominal migraines. So she has head migraines, has had most of her life. A tiny little bit about Lorraine that maybe somebody coming on may not know. She's a preemie. She was a preemie baby, born in on the island of Cyprus, off of Greece and Turkey in the Mediterranean, in an Air Force base in the middle of a civil war in Nicosia. So there were no incubators. There was basically they didn't think that my mother made it. So they grabbed forceps, pulled her out, and she still has a ridge on her head to this day because of that. She has had headaches her whole life. If her family went to an amusement park kind of a thing, of course she was a kid. She would want to try some of the rides. She would need to be taken home because it was just too much. I don't want to interrupt anybody if you're eating. Um, but I think we all know migraines they're not just a headache. They they crash your whole day, if not more. So now imagine us finding out that there's this thing called abdominal migraines. We have a migraine, but it's manifesting in our gut. I didn't know that was a thing until my primary care before this last one. So I got a message. I'm not doing well. Can you please prepare a Zofran shot? Since we both have the migraine, since we both deal with a lot of nausea, vomiting, I have a prescription where I'm to take it every day through my IV. Lorraine is to take it when needed through an intramuscular injection. And boy, does it help. And the difference between before and after, day and night. And so I had gotten an injection ready for her. I had gotten I'm trying to think about all of the senses, and I'm trying to call upon all of my experience in the past 3 days prior to this happening for what would have helped me. And so I got some essential oil out. So eucalyptus, spearmint, the different mints really help. Peppermint. We use doTERRA's. This is not sponsored by doTERRA. This is not I'm not trying to, this is just what we use. And there is a rescue remedy that was made specifically for kids in cars, that if you have motion sickness. But it's also really good for those times when you have nausea and vomiting for so long that it's hard for you to take in, like, the smell of food. It's hard to take in a lot of different senses. Any lights, smells, sounds, vibration. It really, everything is on edge, on alert. So she was not having a good day. And of course, I snapped right from patient to caregiver. That's what we do in this family. So I did everything that I possibly could. And I get back to bed. And I immediately contact Abby. I'm like, do you have a minute? I need to talk. Here's where I have to stop and say, I hope everyone, at least one time in their life, could feel the magic of friendship like that. that no matter what's going on in your life, when somebody reaches out and just says, hey, can you talk? I really need a few minutes of your time. And when you're somebody that doesn't ask a whole lot, that gets noticed. She's asking, okay. So my friend, she jumps online. And she just listened. Y'all, the magic of a friendship like that, it's priceless. I had no idea how much I was holding in until I saw her face. So we use Zoom. Abby is also one of the facilitators of the support group that we run. So we're in contact a lot. If it's not talking on Zoom, we're talking in text usually every day, usually. Unless something's going on with either's family. And when you are given that time, that focus, you're allowed to ramble to a point where you finally have no words left. That's a gift. She sat on the other side of the screen and just listened to me. All my fears, all my worries. She was here for that. She did not try to lessen what I was going through. She made me feel heard. And like I said, priceless. I had babbled. I had babbled on and on and on until suddenly I realized I was shaking. I had just something in me had I'm not sure what the hormones would be, but when you know somebody needs you and you call upon your reserve energy, because didn't really have much left, but suddenly you're grabbing energy out of nowhere. You're borrowing it from some future time. I don't really know. But I didn't even ask myself, can I do it? I just did. She needed me. You know, that's what friends and family are for. When we need somebody. I mean, it's not the entirety of what they're for, but you know what I mean. When I finally got out all the steps and told her what was going on, what I had done, all the steps that I took to alleviate Lorraine's pain, nausea. Then Abby had some suggestions. Have you tried A, B, C? And I'm like, oh. I have not tried B. It got me from this state of, like, I knew my caregiver was gonna be just fine. I know. At the time, you hate to see someone that you love suffering. How can I say it any more succinct than that? It was eating me up inside. Usually the person that I rely on for my care was down and out that day, and it scared something really fundamental in here. And I hadn't realized that until I started to talk to Abby. And I'm shaking and I'm crying, and she is just lovingly taking it all in, offering what she could. I cannot thank you enough. This is what support feels like, and it makes you feel so special. Like you're not alone. You're not alone in your fight. You're not alone in your struggle. And even those little moments of, I'm here for you, those little moments are so big. I'm gonna remember this feeling for a long time. That's the power of friendship.